everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Rob. I am out in the field today at a new residential neighborhood that we have recently started. As you can see, there's a lot of construction going on here, and I'm actually doing the kitchen cabinets for all of these houses. So I'm going to bring you guys along with me today, kind of show you, my process for when I come out, start taking measurements of these houses, how I go through the house to kind of get an idea of what's, where everything's at, and then how I go to each room and what I'm looking for when I take the measurements for cabinets. Now, in a perfect world, you'd like to wait, for the sheetrock to be on. That way, all the plumbing and all the electric is where it's going to be. But unfortunately, with how fast they're building these homes, I don't have that luxury. So I actually have to come in at this stage when they're framing and running electric and plumbing to take my measurements. So we're gonna go room by room and start taking a look at how I go through these houses and get them measured. Most of the time when I come through these houses, I have a set of floor plans that the builder provides me. That way I have a pretty good idea of where the cabinets are going to be. Aside from this, I have a manila envelope and a tape measure and a pencil. So definitely not the most organized, but it gets the job done. So once I have that, generally I'll walk through the house, kind of get an idea of what the rooms look like, and then I'll start measuring it. So here I have a set of plans that the builder gave me that shows where they want the cabinets, and we can see that we're in the kitchen here. And one thing I have to do whenever they send me a plan, I have to make sure it's laid out correctly if I don't have to flip it based on if they flipped the floor plan or not. So we know we're in the kitchen here. We can see that there's sink plumbing there. We've got the other wall behind us, just like that. That's gonna go right there. Over here, I know that I'm gonna have to do cabinets in the laundry room, so that's what this is. And if we squeeze through here, come in right here, we've got the master bath. So there's gonna be a double vanity here. Very important that I get those drain measurements. And then right here, there's no bathtub yet, but once they put a bathtub, they will build a face frame wall in front of it, and then I will actually put a decorative panel with removable doors. And over here we have a hall bath. So the important measurements for me here is obviously the drain, but then I'm also I need to know the distance from the center of the toilet to the wall, because there's a code minimum of 15 inches between the center and where the cabinet stops. So I got to make sure that I am within those limits. And then if we come upstairs, sometimes at this stage they don't actually have the plumbing done for the bathrooms that are up here. But in this case, they just got finished. So that's perfect. So I will do the same thing here. I will get the measurement. There'll be a vanity right there. So I'll get those measurements as well as the center of the toilet from that wall. So that's the first thing I do. I go around all the rooms before I measure them and just take a look at them. And now I will grab my manila folder with a pencil and tape measure, and I'll start kind of making rough sketches of all the rooms and start measuring them out. It's definitely not the most organized way to do things, but it works for me. All right, so let's get this measured out. I'm also going to measure the ceiling height on this one. I already did. So this is an 8-foot ceiling. So we're going to go all the way up to the ceiling with these cabinets. All right, here we are at the laundry room. So it's calling for an upper over the washer and the dryer in the corners. So we're going to basically just measure the width of this. And it looks like we're going to have one 24-inch upper right there and one 24-inch upper right there. And they're going to probably put a rod in between. So the only thing I'm concerned about here is just the width of this back wall. And we're at 66 1/4, so 65 1/4 minus sheetrock. Moving on to the master bathroom right here, we can see that we've got a vanity. We're going to do a stack of drawers in the middle, and then we're going to have another vanity. So this, I'm concerned about the wall to wall, and then I measure from the left side to the plumbing there, and then from the right side to the center of the plumbing there, and then as well as these walls here. So I'll just draw this out like a little cubby, and I'll put those plumbing measurements in. All right, here we have the hall bath. So this one's pretty straightforward. So it's just a vanity right there. It says 30-inch vanity, and then the toilet. So what I'm gonna do here is, see if I can do this with one hand. So I'll get 15 to the center, so 14 and a half after sheetrock. Then we've got 47, so 40, about, we'll just say 47. 47 after sheetrock is good enough. Last but not least is that upstairs bathroom. Should be pretty straightforward, so we're just gonna do the same thing we did on that little hall bath down there. So center of the drain, center of the toilet. So once I go through it, get to that point, I draw them all out on the folders, and that's basically all I do out at the job site, and then I head back and I start drawing it up in Cabinet Vision. So when I get back, we'll jump onto Cabinet Vision, and I'll start drawing up one of these jobs, and you can see me do that again. So all right, so I'm back at my office. We are here in Cabinet Vision, and I have my file that I drew on, my measurements, as well as the layouts that the builder sent me. So from here, we're going to create a new job. I'm just going to put, for this, the address, West Setting Sun Drive. All right, my room, I'm a creature of habit. I always start with the kitchen first. My layout, we are on an 8-foot ceiling here. So now I'm setting up all my construction methods for this job. Basically, this is a 1/2-inch overlay. Drawer box, we're going to do soft close undermounts for these material schedules, and then hardware, just making sure that also shows my soft close undermount. For doors, we're going to do machine grade MDF. The drawers, we're going to do shaker style, but we're going to make the top drawer actually a slab, but we're going to keep the shaker style drawer front, since the majority of them will be that, the less I have to change. So all that looks good. All right, so from here, all right, so I don't know if you can see too well on the that's little webcam, but I'm basically gonna just start with the kitchen. I'm gonna start drawing out everything that I measured out. And so I'm just gonna do this like I normally do it. All right, so 27.5 here. We've got this wall, 155.5. Let's go here for a second. We'll go 26. We'll go 37. And then the angle, we'll do -45. Then we'll come off here at 90 at another 26. And then this comes down 117.25. Just like that. So let's center this up. All right, so this is basically that layout here, and then that layout of the kitchen there. So got a cough. Sorry about that. All right, so now what I'm going to do before I start putting in any cabinets, I'm going to kind of mark out the important things that I measured. So one way, I'm going to use the snap marks, and first I'm going to put the refrigerator. Let's make sure snap to grid is on. So I'm going to come right here to the corner, and I measured from this wall 53 inches. So we're going to come 53 in our distance. Well, that's not what we wanted to do. We'll do 53. 53. Okay, right. Well, let's try this again. This one's kind of finicky. 53. Okay. Well, let's try this again. Okay, 53, tab. There we go. All right, and so then basically what I do here is I take that snap mark and I just use it as a point to start like a circle. Or you could do a square, it doesn't really matter. I like the circle because it just centers it around your point. All right, so we could label that. If you were doing this for somebody, you know, we could do something like this. We could do water. Maybe make that a little smaller. Right, and then, you know, something like that. You know, if you were doing this for somebody else. So we know that that's where the water is. And then over here, let's do the same thing. My snap marks. Let's go. And then I'm going to come 70 down this wall. Okay. One quirk about that, I've got to have it in the view, the frame. Okay, so let's try that again. And I've got to be on distance. This one's a little quirky, this tool. But, and then I'm going to click the mouse, put that snap mark there. We can see that it's there. And then this is for our gas. Come on, don't. Okay, so, and we can do something like gas. Way too big. Way too big. And actually, let's make this guy bigger. Let's make it 2. I didn't realize I was so zoomed in. But let's move this. Maybe like put it on the back side of the wall because I'm going to have cabinets here. So we'll do that We'll do that with both of these. Put it right here. I'm just going to get rid of that little line. So we've got water. We've got our gas. Now we've got sink plumbing out in the middle. So let's try to do the same thing. All right, so when I do the sink, I measure, where it is off of each wall, and you'll see here in a second how I'm doing this. So we'll start from this wall. I measured 125. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put, okay, right there. Okay, right. Well, 124 3/4. It's kind of confusing getting that tool to work good. But all right, that's good enough. 124.5. And so then we came off here 105. So if we go 105 and we're lined up on that snap mark that I made right here. 103. I'm just gonna 105 and a 16th. That's good enough. Good enough. So we know that we're on this line, so we should be good. So our plumbing, let's just say, is right in there. So this is where our island plumbing is when we do the island or the electric. No, I guess the sink is in the island on this one. Yeah, so all our water and plumbing, so that's where we're at there. All right, so from here, let me save it. I don't want to lose the job. So from here, I'm basically going to just follow the layout that they gave me. I'm going to throw the cabinets in there exactly how they want it, and then I'll have to, see how that lines up with the real measurements and then make, adjustments there. So let's start right here. Let's actually make this a little bigger too. Let's make this like 3 inches. There we go. A little easier to see. All right, so looking at this, I have they want a pantry cabinet right here. So we can go to custom cabinets. Let's go to the talls. We'll just throw in a standard tall. I have my own custom library, but for these videos, I like to use just the stock cabinets and Cabinet Vision, so that way, you know where I'm starting from. And so this one, it looks like they have it, and it's printed small. It looks like it's 35 wide and 90 tall. I think. But I know on this one, they've told me they want me to go to the ceiling. So what we're actually going to do is go 90. We're going to go 95 for now. And I'm actually going to bump this out a 1/2 inch by default off the wall, because it's very important that you start out, if you're in between walls, with your clearances right here, with your clearances already factored in. I like to just start off that way. All right, and then usually for this guy, this builder, what we're going to do first is we're going to make this top rail 3 inches for the crown, since we're going up to the ceiling. And then we're just going to have this split evenly with 2 equal doors and then some adjustable shelving in the middle. So go to our 3D view. So just like that. And I think that is pretty much what they're wanting. So I'll save that. And then I'm going to rename this to, my builder uses the letter U for utility. It's like pantry. So I'm going to name it the width first and then the height. And then by default, this guy is going to be, I'm going to make him 26 deep instead of 24 deep. And that's because it's going to be right up against a refrigerator cabinet that's also 26 deep. And I like to have a little deeper tall cabinet so that way the granite has something to butt up into nicely. All right, so make sure we can see that this is 42 and 5/16. This is 3/16. So we need to even those up. So I'm just going to equalize the height with each other, balance that out, and now we're even, so we're good there. All right, so now we're going to build a refrigerator cabinet. Okay, so how do I do that? So let's go back to the same talls, and let's see what they've got here. I'm going to use a tall filler maybe. So let's see. Maybe not that. I have my own. I'm just going to see what Cabinet Vision has. Maybe we can use this tall filler. Let's see. So by default, it gives you all this stuff, which is fine. So let's see if we can modify this a little bit. First, I'm going to make this, and actually, so we're going to do, okay, so we're going to make this 95 tall, just like this one. I'm actually going to make it 1.5 inches wide. And my clearance from the left, I'm going to go 37 inches because that is going to be the normal, the distance between the two. So I'm going to use this cabinet as the left side of the refrigerator, and then this panel. And it's a weird thing in Cabinet Vision, and I think it's in wire mode it's showing this whole square, but I have not been able to figure out how to display this as a solid panel. Like if you come to the right, let's see if we can do, let's do like a finished end, and let's see if that helps. There we go. So that is what we're wanting. Okay, just like that. All right. So we need the upper cabinet that goes in between it, and we're going to go to the library uppers. I'm just going to grab a random size. Let's just grab this 30 wide by 21 tall. Apologize for that. I've been coughing this morning for some reason. All right, so how do I size these? So for standard refrigerators, the elevation for most standard refrigerators, I think they come up just shy of 70 inches. So it's like 69 and some change high off the floor for a standard refrigerator. So I need to be above that. And if I don't know what refrigerator they're using, or if they say it's just like a standard refrigerator, I always default to 72 off the floor until I know for sure. But that's usually what most refrigerators are. For the width, again, a standard refrigerator is like 35 and some change, which inches wide. So 37 inches is usually what I default to, and that works out for me. So I've got it the right elevation, but I'm a little short by 2 inches here. So if we go 21, so if we go to 23, it dropped it down. So let's go 72. So that is giving me pretty much what I want. The only thing I got to do now is fix the depth. We're going to make this a 26-inch deep cabinet. Let's do this here, so that way you guys can see all the views. We'll just do that. Hopefully you guys can see that. And so I'll make the changes here. Okay, so this also needs to be 26 deep. And that looks good. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to rename this to 3723. And then this guy, I'm going to name this a utility end panel. It's just what we always call it. And it's going to be 1.5 inches wide by 95 tall. And then I got to make this guy, I got to make the top rail 3 inches on this. Very important that I do that for the crown. Otherwise, you will find yourself with not enough room from the crown if you're trying to crown to the ceiling. All right, so now moving on. It looks like he's got 2B24 2 Well, this is interesting. This actually looks like he's got another one of these. We're going to copy this right here, maybe. I'm going to do this a second. So 0.5. Butt it off the wall. And then it's showing... That's what it's looking like. 34. All right. So, but it's showing two 24-inch bases, which is 48, and I've got 46. So let's take 2 inches off this. 35. 33. Because that is what this is showing. Let's rename this to 33. And then object, let's go to custom base cabinet. So let's drag this base out. I'm going to make this 24 inches wide. Okay, I'm going to delete this part that it puts like a floor or a partition right here. I don't build that. It's a waste of material for me, so I'm going to delete that. And then one thing I do here is if I go to 3D, on this job, I want this drawer to be solid. This builder likes all the top drawers to be a solid slab, and I have a slab profile here. So it's just how they like to do it. It's preference for them. And so then I'm just going to rename this to B24 for base 24, and I'm just going to copy that and then paste it just like that. And we can see here that this refrigerator cabinet, that water is nice and centered in there, and so that's why I have that there just to make sure. So we're good there. So now we just got to put these two uppers here. And let's see, wall cabinets. So we'll just grab the standard upper. So this guy, let's get rid of this F. This guy is going to be the same width, 24, because we want to match these cabinets. And then for the height, how I figure it, so I always, for the kitchen on most cabinets, we default to 54 inches off the ground, which is correct here. So I've got 30 inches, and I need to go up, it looks like, another 11 inches to match the top of this. So you can add 11, or you can just go plus 11 in here if you want to do it that way. Actually, no, we don't want that. We want it plus 11 here. Plus 11 there. And then it drops it down, so 54. We'll put it back to 54. Let's go make this top rail 3 inches as well. And then generally, with a cabinet that's 42 inches or more, we're going to put 3 shelves instead of 2. So I just put the opening number 1 higher than the amount of shelves I want. They're going to be adjustable. And that looks good. So we're going to name this wall 2441. Just like that. 24 wide, 41 tall. And let's copy this. Put 54 here. And we can see that this is exactly what we want. It's looking good. It's looking like a kitchen. So, and this is why that 26 deep, for anyone who's new or just watching this and haven't done a lot of cabinets. For me, if I have the space to do it, I want that granite to butt nicely right here, so that way the granite doesn't stick out past. It just looks much nicer. Same way on this end. So that countertop will be nicely sandwiched in between those cabinets. So, all right, we got that wall done. So let's move to the stove wall. So let's double click here. And so one thing to keep in mind, if you have not used Cabinet Vision before, whatever you are in is what, like, so we'll see if we put the circle and the gas in the plan view, it does not carry over to the other views. So that's just something that you have to keep in mind. Like, what you do in one view, it's kind of locked to that perspective. So, But that's okay. We've got it over here to see if we're lining up. So this side's pretty straightforward. So we've got, it looks like looks like they just got like a base 33, the stove, and then another base 33. So let's try that. So let's go to the base. We'll use the standard base. Come on. Don't lock up on me, man. Cabinet Vision does some weird things on this new version. Wasn't wanting me to drag those out. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right, so let's make this 33. 24 deep is what we want. Let's double click. I'm going to get rid of this partition because I don't want it. It's just a waste of material. And then we're going to change this top drawer to a slab. All right, and then I'm going to rename this B33. And so it's showing on this. Make sure this print is super fine. All right, well, we'll see where we line up here because it looks like we're going to maybe not hit the... let's go to our clearance. So I think this is going to be 30-inch range. So we can see here that my gas line is, and this is why I mark these out on here. So I can see already that my gas line is going to fall if I go off of their layout. It's going to fall behind this cabinet. Now, depending on how far along they are, you know, and how much they want to modify, you know, the options is either move the gas line, you know, if this is a layout that they want to, and that's just assuming like they want to stick with this layout. They don't want me to make, you know, any adjustments beyond what the designer has sent me. Then they've either got to move the gas pipe or we've got to route it through. You know, it is possible to route that through the bottom of this cabinet. We've done it before. So they'll just come in and then they'll have to 90 it over and bring it into the cabinet. Not ideal, you know, if you don't, you know, generally you want to try to hit that space with the gas, but, you know, it is what it is. I'm just going to draw it out based on, you know, what I see, what they want, and then I'm going to let them tell me what we're going to do. So we're just going to keep moving. All right, so what I'm going to do here is we're going to go to catalogs, appliances, range. I'm just going to grab just one of the stock ranges, just so they've got a visual there. And then I don't know why it's defaulting me there. Okay, so now let's put some uppers. So we're going to go back to custom cabinets, wall cabinets, standard upper, 33. We already established that the height is 41 and that we're 54 off the floor. All right, let's make this top cabinet, top rail 3. Then we'll put 3 shelves in there. And we're going to rename this to wall 3341. All right, I'm going to copy this guy. I'm going to put him right here. We're going to go 54. And we're going to make him 30 from the left. So matches up on either side. We can see here that we're the same. And then, so all we need is the cabinet above the range. And so we can actually, I'm just going to copy this one. And it's going to kind of shrink it. No, whenever I put this appliance in, it's got a built-in clearance deal. So it knows that it's got to be shorter. It just doesn't know how much. So let's go in and delete all these shelves. So to size a microwave up or over the range, 90% of the time, this value of 69 is correct, or it will work. You have your microwave will go in here. So if you have no idea what you're doing, 69 inches from the floor will generally serve you, you know, for most appliances. This particular builder, they actually, I was doing it at 69 for a long time, and then they actually got a new gas cooktop, which had a new set of clearances. So I actually have to go a little higher when they hang the microwave. So I actually have to go 72 for these. So we're actually going to match the refrigerator height here. And then I'm just going to add, it looks like 8 inches here. We're going to just add 8 inches to the height. And we'll go 72. And that gives us this microwave cabinet. So that will work for me in this scenario. And so now I'm just going to rename this guy to wall 3023. That is it. Now what I normally do, if I know if we paint these cabinets, I'm going to have to go through and make sure that I clarify, which sides are going to be painted. But we'll build this out first, and then once I get it built completely out, I'll go back through and we'll kind of do some of the fine tuning stuff. All right, so now it's the island. And it looks like the island is oriented. It's going to be oriented this way with the sink facing the range. And it looks like you've got a sink base 36. So it looks like there's a trash can right here, a sink right here, and then a dishwasher. Okay, so the dishwasher. So how do we size this thing? So the normal sink, let's just go ahead. I'm going to go to wall here, and I'm going to go to peninsula. And let's just draw it the other way, not that way. Okay, we're going to go to peninsula. And I'm just going to draw in Peninsula Island here. We don't know its size, position yet or anything. But this is just how, I'm just showing you kind of how I reason through dimensions. Like if they give me dimensions, like they'll just put dishwasher, sink, and then like a trash can. And then they don't really give me like a dimension. So if it's on me to kind of size it all out, this is how I go about it. So I know that if I go to my base cabinets, most of the time, let's go ahead and take a regular base. We're going to make this a sink cabinet. So the sink cabinets, for me, 36 inches is pretty standard. Let's go in here. We for sure have to delete this out on the sink. And then let's make this guy a false front. Get rid of the drawer. And then we'll make that a solid slab. Get rid of the F's here, and we'll call this sink base 36. Okay. All right, so I know that I'm going to be putting a dishwasher. It looks like they want a dishwasher on the left side of the sink here. And the dishwasher is 24 inches. However, if I just take this and let's say from the left I put 24, that's not going to be, like I could put the dishwasher in, let's go ahead and grab catalogs, appliance, dishwasher. I've got room to put the dishwasher, but the problem is that, I've got to have a little end piece here for the granite. Well, it's for the decorative, so it cases it in, but also, it acts as a granite support. So whenever I see on their plans, they'll just throw a dishwasher and they'll say 24 inches. And, and they say, well, that's the end of the island. But a lot of times, like, they're not accounting for that end piece. So the rule of thumb that I use is 26 inches. So if they say, 24, I got to add 2 more inches to it. And so what I mean by that, so if I space this out 2 inches, move this over, let's come back to objects, catalog, custom, base cabinet, and this DEP, which stands for desk in panel, we'll throw this guy right here. And you can get away with 1.5 inches. A lot of times, if I got the space, I'm just going to do it 2 inches. I don't know why it's showing 2 inches, but for some reason it's not going all the way. It's not going all the way for some reason in the graphic, but whatever. You guys get the idea. You got to have that in panel there, and so I always account for 24 plus 2, so 26 inches for that. And then for a trash can cabinet, let's take another base. So if we throw this guy in here, it's saying it's calling for a 24-inch trash can cabinet. So 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So I need to add 6 inches to this. So we need to go 86. So I'm going to click and drag. I'm going to put 86. So my length in it automatically brought this guy to 24. So when it comes to building a trash can, there's 2 ways to do it. For one, let's get rid of all this stuff. Let's get rid of this shelf in here. There's a couple different kits out there, and we're gonna make this a single door. So it's important. It really needs to be one door, and it's hinged left and right. We actually want to go to hinge, and let's put no hinge. So you really need one door because it attaches to that hardware and it pulls out. And so you can either there's the small, like 13 gallon or whatever, and then there's the taller, and I might be getting the gallons wrong, but you have the small ones that have a drawer above it, or we could make this all one big door, and that would be the taller trash cans. I'm just going to put something like this for this. So having nothing but their layout, this is a good starting point that I would do. Now the only issue that I'm seeing here is that I know that they like this sink to be centered up right here on this guy. But I gotta double check. Let me double check this thing here. I'm gonna measure this because I've got 124 3/4. I've got 125. Because that sure is not where they're gonna want this island. And I know that because just by looking at it, they're gonna want this island somewhere, more like this. And so I'm going to leave it like this. And I'm going to draw a line here, and I'm going to say something like current drain location. And then I'll send it to them, and they can look at that and then tell me what they want to do if they need to move it. Because normally you don't want this sticking past this cabinet here, and if I drag this down, that's way too far. So my gut tells me. And then one thing I probably will need to do is actually make this cabinet smaller than 24. Like this. Because we were getting a little tight in there, and I'm just going to have to tell them, just for now, 86, so 82, just like that. All right, so we're going to roll with that just like that for now. I'm going to save this, and so the last thing I'm going to do in the kitchen is we're going to click this island, we're going to come to the back, And let's put some back panels. And we're going to grab in the base cabinet this MEP. And this might be actually, let me see if I can. All right, so I'm changing it to this MDF panel that I have set up. You guys might not have this set up because this is something that I set up. But currently it drags it in as a 5-piece, and I'm actually not doing 5-piece, so I am using MDF. Just like that. So what we're going to do, so we're going to go with, so 82 is the overall, so let's go 41. And if we size this out, I'll show you my section. So we're going to do 3 right style. We're going to do 1.5 inch because we're going to butt the left side up. Top rail's 3, bottom rail we'll leave at 5 1/4, and then we'll leave it at 3. And this is just the sizes that I do it. And then let's rename this one before we do anything else. So I'm just going to call this MEP 41 by 34.5. And I'm going to right click, copy this. And let's double click. Let's go to properties, section door. Now we're just going to flip flop these two. So 1.5 and 3. And basically what that does is it allows this to be 3 once you join them together. So, you know, that's basically it. What I'm going to do for this, you know, we will need panels on the right side of these. So we could panelize the right like that. And then this guy as well. So for now, so they can see it. So there we go. So we've got our island, and this is not matching that. So, and normally I don't do this. I do this. I have them build it on the side a different way, but just so that we can make it look right, we'll do 3, 3, 3, something like that. You know, this is just for visuals for now. So there we go. So now we're matched up. And then I'll just, you know, do the same on the other one. So that is it for the kitchen. So, you know, we've already identified a couple problems. You know, I've got a gas line that's not where it's supposed to be according to their drawings, and I've got a drain location that is appearing to not be where it is supposed to. So the kind of, you know, I don't deal, you know, with usually they're pretty good, a lot of the houses I deal with, so I don't deal with stuff like this all the time, but you know, this is why it's important to go out and really get the hard measurements, because people make mistakes, and you know, it's pretty common to have to do this, and so you want to catch this kind of stuff on the early end. All right, so that is it with the kitchen. Let's save that, and we're going to move on. So for the next room, let's jump over to the laundry room. Laundry room. I try to do the same order every single time. Just works good for my mind. So the laundry room looks like we're gonna have there's gonna be an upper over the washer, upper over the dryer, and then a base to the right of the dryer. So let's move this over a little. So let's go 84. Then we're actually going to go 58 1/4. And then it goes back about 4. Oh, that's not what we wanted. Walls. Goes back about, we'll go 6 inches. And then it goes, well, that's not what we wanted to do either. I need to go back. So let's go back. Right there, just like that. And then there's a little stub out there, and then we're gonna go total of 136. So let's take 136 minus 58.25. 36 minus 58.25. So this will be 77 and 3/4. And then like that. So there's basically in this laundry room, this wall stubs out a little for there's plumbing that goes in here. So the washer and dryer are actually going to fit on this part. So we can go ahead and let's just throw that in there. So we all know what we're looking at. So we got a washer and we got a dryer like right here. So what they want is they want an upper, looks like an upper over each unit, and then like a base beside it. So let's do right here what we're gonna do. Let's go to wall cabinets. And on this, we're gonna do 24 wide, 36 tall. And normally they try to put a rod between the two, but let's see if we've got enough room. Boy, that's not very much room. And we're overhanging the edge here. See, well, what should we do here? Let's zero that out. That's still probably something like this either makes sense to just have one or two that butt together and expand the whole way. So what we're gonna do here, so let's delete this. So I'm just gonna do 58 1/4. Oh, let's go like an inch back for the crown. So let's do 50. Let's do 57 divided by 2. So let's do something like for this, like 228.5. And one thing to keep in mind when you're doing these laundry room cabinets like this, like on the elevation, is whether or not it's going to be a top load or a front load, because if it's a top load, this is not going to be high enough. But I think they're doing front loads in this house, but probably what makes sense to me in something like this with that little stub out is to do something like that. That makes way more sense, because normally they try to keep a space in between and put a rod, but we're just not going to have enough room on this one. So we're just going to leave it like that. And so the next thing I'm going to add is that base cabinet to the right of the washing machine, and they're wanting just a 24-inch base. So let's do that. Let's just do a base 24. And we'll call it good. And I'm guessing they want us to probably butt right up to that little stub wall in this house. So I'm going to leave it like that. I think that looks pretty good. And then the last thing that I can do is, I should have done this for the kitchen, but we're just going to put laundry room. somewhere there. So, you know, when you print it out, you send it to somebody, they they know what you're looking at. So, all right, laundry room's done. So let's move on to the next room. And let's do the master bathroom. The master bath. All right. So the master bath on this particular one, if you can kind of see it. So it's a double vanity with an open end on this one. So we'll draw it out and then you'll see what I mean. So I'm going to go left to right. We're going to go 77 inches. And then I'm going to come down. There's a window. It's about 36 to the window, I think. So what we're going to do here is I measured out the plumbing. Let's do the same thing with these snap marks. We're going to start at this corner, and the first one comes out. I'm going to tab down to my distance, 16. Come on. Work with me. 16 and a 16th. Good enough. All right, and then we're going to do it again at 54. Apologize for the rasp in my voice. My son came home a little sick, and so I think I might have contracted something from him. But all right, so we've got that plumbing there at 16, and we've got that plumbing there at 54. All right, so double vanity. So we're going to have vanity, drawer stack in the middle, and then another vanity sink cabinet. So what they're calling for here is 3 24-inch cabinets. So a 24-inch vanity, a 24-inch drawer stack, and another 24-inch vanity. So let's do that. So let's go to, we'll go to the base cabinets. We'll grab the base. All right, let's jump in here. Let's change this to 24. Let's jump inside here, delete that floor. We're going to put a false front here because there's going to be sink in it. Let's change this to a slab drawer front. I am being summoned. I will be right back. Okay, I am back. So we've got this vanity sink. So I'm going to name this vanity sink 24. All right, so we can just do the same one. We're going to put one here and another one here. So this looks good. My main concern is the plumbing. Is it hitting inside the sink cabinets? And it is. So the only thing we're going to change is we're going to change this guy into a drawer stack. So to do that, I'm going to double click, delete everything out. And then we're going to go to horizontal multi-split. We'll do 3. And then that looks good, but I need to change this one to a slab for this particular builder. So we've got that. And that looks pretty good. Let me rename this to V3D, Vanity 3 Drawers 24. And that is the master bath. So let's center the room up. And we can go right here and put master bath. And on this one, I think that's pretty much it with the master bath. That's all they're calling. There no uppers over the toilet or anything like that. So yeah, so I think we're good to go here. So let's move on to the hall bath. All right, so the hall bath. This looks like it's right here. I don't know if you can see it, but we're gonna do a drawer stack and then a sink. All right, and so the hall bath, we're gonna draw I'm just going to draw. This wall length is going to be arbitrary. In fact, I am just going to do that for now, because the only measurements that I took was the plumbing and then the toilet. So let's put the plumbing in first. Then we might have to change this. But, you know, if I was being more thorough, I would have accurately measured out that wall. But the reason I didn't is because I try to go through these pretty quick, and I actually don't need it. I need the toilet measurement. I don't really need that wall. So let's go 36.75. That's not there. In the distance, 36.75. And let's go in the wrong way. Hold on, we want to go this way. 36.75. Right there. Yeah. Just gonna get close. 36 and a half. Close enough. Close enough, and we will have to make that back wall a little longer. Okay, so that's where the plumbing lies. We're gonna make this like 100. And that is not what we wanted. It never sizes in the way that, in the direction that I need it to. Okay, so let's just drag this way. And this still should be the same. Yep. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go to Objects, Furnishings. We're gonna put a toilet. And I took the measurement centered from the right side, 54. Actually, no. Looking at the wrong number, 71.5. Say, because that's a little close. All right, so we're 71 and a half center. So these are the important measurements, you know, and then this wall in real life comes like this. But the reason I don't care about this length is because the toilet locations is what's going to force me. It's what I'm going to butt up against before I would ever hit the wall. So that's why I don't really care about that. All right, so this one's calling for a 15-inch drawer stack vanity sink, and I realized something. I'm going to jump back to the master bath a second. I was using a base cabinet, and I got to make these 21 deep, not 24 deep. I have my own library set up, and so I'm so used to going on autopilot. So I do all my vanities at 21 deep. All right, so let's make this guy 21 deep. Let's make him 15. Let's get rid of that F. And let's delete everything out, and we'll do a 3-drawer split just like we did before. I'm gonna make this guy a solid slab at the top, and we're gonna rename this to Vanity 3 Drawer 15. Perfect. Okay, and then they're calling for a, looks like a 30-inch vanity. Let's just do another base cabinet here. Let's see where. Yeah, it looks like 30 will get us into the plumbing. So I think, you know, if you wanted to err on the side of, you know, you can make this like a 33 or something, but I'm just going to stick with 30 because that's what the plan calls. So let's clean this cabinet up a little. I'm going to make this a false front because we don't want a drawer. And then let's turn this thing into a slab. And we're going to leave this adult height. This builder likes his vanities the same height as the kitchen cabinets, so that's why I have not changed the heights. But we should make sure we're 21 deep, and that looks That looks good, you know. And so code is 15 inches off the center to the cabinet, but in this case, you know, we want to make sure that there's plenty, you know, plenty of room. And in this particular case, we've got, yeah, like almost 30 inches. So we could get away with making this one, you know, a little bigger, you know, something like vanity sink 33, something like that. And maybe I'll leave it like that and just pitch it to them, you know, because that way if you're sitting there, you know, usually they screw the toilet paper roll right here, and that might be kind of far. So we'll leave it like that, and we'll put all bath. All right, and so that leaves us just the last one on here, which is the upstairs bathroom. So let's put upstairs bath. And you know what, there's another kind of quirky thing about cabinet vision. If you see all these little snap marks that I've made, it doesn't matter. Like, it's like once you place it into the world, it's there. Doesn't matter what room you go to, what perspective. You think it would be like just locked to a room. But if you want to turn those off and on, there's this snap marks button down at the bottom. You can do that. So, all right. So the upstairs bath, this is going to be basically the same concept as the hall bath. And let's draw the same kind of deal. I'm just going to do a square. We'll do like a big square, not to scale. I'm mostly focused on this right side. So let's do another snap mark. This time on the distance, we're going 16. And so let's put a little circle here. So that's where that plumbing is there. And then the toilet here, we're going to do center from the right. I measured 49.5. All right, so this is all accurate. So what the plan is calling for here is a 27-inch vanity, it looks like. Sink base, vanity sink 27. So we'll go to the base cabinets. Drag. Man, don't do this to me, cabinet vision. Okay, there we go. Okay, so 27. Yeah, 21 deep. We're well within the plumbing. So basically, all we got to change here is the false front. I'm going to make it a slab. And yep, we're good to go. That is it. That is basically all we need for this upstairs bath, except for we do need to rename this. Vanity sink 27. All right, and so then I would put right here, upstairs bath. Just like this. And so from here, this is basically, that's it. I'm basically done. So this is, you know, this is what I will send, you know, to the builder. We've got basically everything ready to go. The last step, which I'm not going to do it in this video, I've done some in the past, is just to get it all into the drawings. So I'll do one just so that way you see. But whatever view you're in, if you right click the wheel, you have two drawings or two live drawings. Live drawings is you know, it allows you to make changes, and the drawings will update on the changes you make. But you just, you know, click that from whatever view you're in, and if you come to drawings, it puts that over in the available scenes, and then you can drag it in there. And you might have a blank page here with none of this down here, and I have a video, an older video of how to set this up and populate this. So check that out. But yeah, I basically go through all the views, all the rooms, and then I just save this to a PDF Microsoft print. I'm on Windows, and so then I would send that to my builders. And yeah, so that's basically, that's kind of my workflow going out to the jobs. And I do a lot of them back to back, so I had to try to figure out the fastest way to get things done. But yeah, so hopefully you guys found this video interesting. I don't really know what the purpose was, other than just to kind of give you an idea into my daily routine. So hope you guys found this enjoyable. Thanks for watching, and good luck wherever you are at, and we'll see you in the next video.